Welcome along to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin. Tam McManus is with me here in the studio, and we're going to talk football, European football mainly, but there's domestic issues to address as well. Thank you to so many of you for joining us on the programme and of course on the channel as well. Lots of people now subscribing, downloading the podcast and downloading the app as well. So a big thank you to you all. The app allows you to watch the programme live and at your leisure as well. So we've been on the roads, we've been on our travels, thoroughly enjoyed Liverpool. Maybe didn't enjoy the game as much because in the end we'll talk about Liverpool against Rangers with Tam McManus. And we'll also talk about Leipzig, Celtic coming up in Hearts against Fiorentina. So you can give us your view, you can engage with us, give us your opinion, and you can also engage with the people who are our followers who offer their opinion on our feed on YouTube too. So we'll try and read out as many messages as possible. Before we talk about Liverpool against Rangers, I'm going to start the show by offering my prayers, my thoughts, my condolences to the McCann family, because sadly one of my friends in the industry, Jim McCann, who was the head of SNS sports photography, passed away. Jim was a larger than life figure, a brilliant man, great to chat to, and at the start of PLZ Soccer, he was a huge help to both myself and Ruffy when we kicked this all off 10 years ago. And sadly, last month, he passed away at the age of just 62, taken away far too early, and it certainly was a shock to me and so many people who knew Jim in the industry. Everybody who follows football, whether it's newspapers or broadcast, would know Jim McCann of SNS Photography and, of course, the SNS Group. So, to all Jim's family, my condolences and obviously my thoughts and prayers as well for his passing, which certainly was a shock to me and a shock to many in the football industry here in Scotland. So today I'm going to dedicate this programme to Jim. I know he might have raised a smile and laughed and then brushed it off because that wasn't really his thing, but it's just a measure of the man that I think it's fitting that we dedicate this show to him. Football's what it's all about. I know Jim loved his football too. We've been watching it. We've been on the road. Liverpool against Rangers. Liverpool is a fantastic city, Tam. I love it. It was your first time there. Maybe it wasn't the result we were looking for because, quite simply, I think all of us were hoping that Rangers really could produce something special in Europe again, but it just wasn't to be.
Yeah, it wasn't to be. I think when you seen the team coming out 5-4-1, you knew that Rangers were down there to, in my opinion, damage limitation. I don't think they played with any sort of belief at all from the first minute to the last minute. I thought that they weren't brave enough on the ball. There was opportunities where Rangers were on the ball. They passed the ball poorly. There was opportunities to get at Liverpool at times, and they never done it. As soon as that first goal goes in, I just thought Rangers never had any belief at all to get back into the game. So I think if you're a Rangers supporter and there was a load down that we bumped into a few, I think you'd be disappointed with that performance. You'd be disappointed with I wouldn't say lack of effort, but the lack of real having a go at Liverpool. Listen, Liverpool are a top team, they're a good side, but there was times where Rangers had a chance to go and get at them and they never done it. And listen, there was a lot of supporters in the home end as well who probably bought tickets off of Liverpool fans for top dollar. And I just think them come away from that game would have been shaking their head going, we never had a goal, we're never in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 86th minute when the first real chance, which is amazing, first real opportunity for Rangers to get a shot on target, and that was from Antonio Cholak, drove the ball straight at Alisson in the Liverpool goal. But other than that, it was just half chances wide of the mark. So that gives you an indication of how poor, for me, Rangers were. That's the poorest I've seen Rangers play in European football for a long, long while. They just didn't lay a glove on them, as Tam mentioned. 7th minute, it was Trent Alexander-Arnold with a lovely free kick, which again, listen, the star man of the show was McGregor. He couldn't reach it. And then in the second half, Salah popped up with a penalty. But it was 2-0 going on 6 for me, Tam, but for Alan McGregor.
Yeah, I think McGregor was exceptional. I think he was the one that can hold his head high coming out of that game. Thought young Leon King done pretty well as well. You know, gave away the penalty kick, but I thought he had a decent performance. But apart from that, you're looking through that Rangers team and you're thinking, nobody really. Tillman, poor. Ryan Kent, again, flatter to deceive. And just to be honest, they were really poor on the night. And as I said, 86 minute, Jock gets the shot on target. The substitutes that come on actually gave Rangers a little bit of a spark. I know Liverpool had geared down by then, the game was won, but I think that the substitutes made a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to hear from Giovanni Van Bronckhorst and Jurgen Klopp and their thoughts on the game, and then we'll read out some of the messages that are coming in as well on Rangers' performance. You know what it's like, time is of the essence. Sometimes when you get someone live, you have to make sure they're there and you get a chance to talk to them, and I'm delighted to see our reporter Adam Binney is out there in Germany ahead of Leipzig against Celtic, because that's a big game. Of course, the big news, Celtic fans were hoping that Cameron Carter-Vickers could actually spring a surprise and make it there, but it doesn't look as if they're going to have that dominant centre half for the game against Leipzig. Adam?
Yeah, Peter, I was at the press conference yesterday night speaking to Ange Postecoglou, and he confirmed that Cameron Carter-Vickers will not be playing. He is still injured, although he is hopeful that he may be back in time for the weekend. So there's a little bit of hope there for Celtic fans. You may be getting your star centre back soon. I was speaking to some fans in the square. They know that it's going to be Welsh and Jens pretty much as the centre half pairing. There's a lot of, let's say, not too many kind words being said about that central defending pairing amongst the Celtic fans. So they're not looking forward to seeing that tonight. It's going to be a big test for them up against Christopher Nkunku and Timo Werner. So it'll be interesting to see whether the two young centre halves can produce the magic against two world-class strikers.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, what about Leipzig? Because they've obviously changed their manager. They're going through that little transitional period, not exactly well placed as you would expect in the Bundesliga either, Adam.
Yeah, they've got the new manager. They sacked Dominic Tedesco and replaced him with former Dortmund boss Marco Rose. He's made a little bit of a difference since coming in. The results they have improved. They've won 3 out of their last 4. The only match they have lost is to Real Madrid. He's a well-respected coach, Marco Rose. He seems to have rejuvenated the players, if you like. But Ange Postecoglou, again, I was speaking to him yesterday in that press conference. He thinks that nothing has changed. He thinks that Leipzig play exactly the same way, and he knows what to expect, is what he said.
Okay, if you're being overly optimistic then, Adam, Celtic fans, some of them will be thinking they can go and take the scalp of Leipzig. It would move Celtic into second place if they could. But what's the best in your mind, looking at the Celtic side that he has available to him? Is there a chance he can pull off a shock, maybe catch Leipzig when they're not really back to top form?
Yeah, absolutely. We all know that Celtic are a great side. Leipzig are currently still 11th in the Bundesliga. They do have some world-class players, as we said, but I still think the Celtic side is absolutely strong enough to go and get a victory. If they do, they can move into second in the table. As you said, that's got to be the aim for Ange Postecoglou's side. For RB Leipzig, still got 0 points in the group. They've surely got to be looking at the table and thinking these are the sort of matches that Celtic can pick up points and get further up the table to get themselves into those positions to qualify for the knockout stages. So yeah, I won't give you a prediction, Peter, but I think Celtic will win this one.
Last bit before you go, obviously, quite a few Celtic fans have made the journey in there. I know you were in the square where it was absolutely heaving with them.
Yeah, I think 2,300 was the number I was given that have travelled over to Leipzig to watch this match, or to take the beautiful city that is Leipzig. The square was mobbed, thousands of Celtic fans congregating. There was actually a speaker in the centre of the square. I'm not sure if that was organised by the local council or that was a forward-thinking Celtic fan that managed to bring that with them. They had crates of beer, and I'm not just talking the crates that we get back home where it's made of cardboard, actual plastic crates filled with bottles of beer in the city centre. The Celtic fans, it was a carnival atmosphere as I was speaking to them earlier. They all seem in great spirits for now. They'll be hoping their side can give them something to party about tonight. But yeah, the atmosphere in the city has been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and just on that point, we've just back from Liverpool, Adam. I've got to ask you: Is Leipzig a city that we could maybe have the PLZ Soccer Christmas night out or the end of season night out? Is it a city worth revisiting?
Yeah, definitely worth revisiting. You'll see in a little piece that I've got coming out on our social media channels and a guide to the city that there's an opera house, a fantastic university, some great sights. If you're going for a night out, maybe not so much, it's a little bit quiet. I think most of the partying done last night was from Celtic fans, but there is a big student population. So I think as the year goes ahead, maybe gets a little bit busier. I'm not going to go into too much detail with the night out. I was with my good friend Gabriel that used to be here. I'm sure many of our fans will love to see and hear from him again. So yeah, we're not going to talk about too much what happened, but the nightlife is pretty good, yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Adam and Gabs on a night out. That's a video. As soon as he teased that, everybody's going to be saying, "Release the video now."
Both of them in their pockets sewn together.
By the way, the two of them.
Many drinks getting bought there, but they two.
Oh, but he's just given us a hint there. Gabs and Adam sitting at the opera. What a night that must be! Fantastic, brilliant, excellent, Adam. Some great stuff by Adam on social media. Absolutely brilliant. He's out there and he's going to be keeping us right up to date tonight, right across all our social media channels for Leipzig against Celtic, and he's going to drop in the teams for us within the next hour as well. So absolutely fabulous from the wee man. He's on top form at the moment, I have to say. He's giving Gabs a run for his money.
Yes, Gabs was great, and we all know how good Gabs was, but Adam's doing well for himself, learning the trade, and he's getting better every week.
Yeah, absolutely. We let Ronaldinho go and we sign Messi. It's as simple as that. Anyway, thanks to Adam. We'll come back to Celtic shortly, but to the Rangers situation, Sean Maxwell says Rangers must spend money in January or we can forget about the league. We are a shambles in the Champions League. Lots of people joining and just saying, Michael Crook says, we were rubbish last night. The subs did more when they come on than those that started. It just shows the step up from the Europa League. And quite a lot of people. Hugh Scott says, afternoon Peter and Tam, good to see you both made it back from Liverpool. I have to say, poor performance again from Rangers last night. Way too passive. Too many were way off it again. And I think that's the general theme from so many of them. It's just Rangers fans just basically saying that they were so disappointed in the way the whole game panned out. And I have to say, that was the overriding feeling I got from the match. I wanted Rangers to press them. I certainly wanted them to be able to pass the ball better out of the back line and try and at least stretch them. It was so difficult. I mean, I'm struggling to think of anybody that got pass marks, and I know a lot of people are struggling, the Rangers fans that are on our feed, Tam, thinking about pass marks. McGregor, stonewall, head and shoulders above everybody for his achievements. If we're looking at, young Leon King, what a night it must have been for him. Disappointing giving away the penalty, but I would brush that aside if I was him. He's got a chance to create a big future for himself.
Yeah, he is. I think that Rangers rate him very highly. I think you see the confidence in the manager to put him in a game like that, down at Anfield. And I thought he done well. I thought, bar the penalty kick, I thought he defended well, he was solid, used the ball well. So I think for a young player, he can be proud of his performance. But I just think that the Rangers supporters, probably on the feed, I think the same as us. It just, they never showed enough courage on the ball. And Liverpool pressed them. Liverpool are great at pressing. But a Rangers team in top form with a 2 or 3 passes would have beat that press and been running onto them. Kent wasn't positive enough. Tillman wasn't positive enough. Morelos got no change at all out the 2 centre halves. Middle of the pitch, I thought Thiago dominated the game. And Rangers, they were totally outclassed, but it was a lack of having a go that I think would disappoint a lot of Rangers supporters. Yeah,
Ronnie Porter says, as a Rangers fan, Rangers are a poor shadow of the team that got to the Europa League final last season. Giovanni needs to take a long look at himself and this Rangers team. By the way, McGregor was immense. I don't think too many people, Ronnie, will disagree with you on that point, because quite simply, if it wasn't for McGregor, in my mind, they would have been spanked by about 5 or 6. And dare I say it, we'll talk about Liverpool in a moment, but if the players that should have been stepping up to the plate, I thought the call was Morelos had to play because it gets you up the park, but the call from Giovanni was made. It was Morelos. He was ineffective. I don't know if it was a lack of service or that he didn't move enough to give them options. I couldn't put my finger on it, but the whole thing just didn't pay off for him.
I think it was movement. I don't think he had the belief, Morelos, that he could get the better of the 2 centre halves, Matip and Van Dijk. I just don't think he got any change at all. And Morelos is at his best when he's playing with a wee bit of anger.
Yeah.
You know, and he's putting himself about, and he's on the verge of maybe getting a booking. You know, he's giving away fouls, he's winning fouls. It was nothing last night. You know, it wasn't a good performance by him. Tillman, poor. You know, coming with a big reputation from Bayern.
But I never actually noticed him in the game until he was subbed.
Yeah, I was the same. He never drove at anyone. He wasn't positive. He didn't go and take anyone on 1v1. Kent was the same. A lot of safe passing.
Kent is a disappointment for me, Tam.
And you think he must have had so much fire in his belly going into that game. He's out of contract. He's gone back to Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp, get rid of him. I'm sure he wanted to show how good a player he was. He wanted to show prospective buyers in the English Premier League that he could do a job there, but on that performance he's nowhere near the English Premier League. He's be at Championship at best.
Yeah, well, sometimes I always mention on this programme that managers start to paint a picture of a game that you actually question whether you were actually at the same game. Giovanni van Bronckhorst after the match reckons that this is an improvement from his side.
We knew it's going to be difficult, and yeah, it was a experience we had again in Champions League, which is a league we want to compete in, but also find it really hard to challenge the team we're facing now. But as you said, we are improving, and hopefully it will take us into the Europa League after the World Cup.
Well, he set it up because quite simply that's their ambition. The battle now is against Ajax because they were spanked by Napoli 6-1, and I'm looking at the games coming up. I can't see them getting anything against Liverpool on the 12th of October. I think Napoli in Italy against Rangers is get yourself behind the couch with a bottle of red wine, because that could be the longest 90 minutes ever. And then it's Rangers Ajax on the 1st of November. And remember, they're going to have to match Ajax's results. I don't see it.
Yeah, particularly if Ajax even pick up anything, might pick up a point as well. So,
yeah.
No, I just don't think Rangers are going to get anything out of this group. I think their best opportunities probably Ajax at home, maybe a point. But just listening to Van Bronckhorst's comments there, you know, he came out after the Ajax game and says that, you know, Rangers can't be competitive with the financial difference with the teams. And I thought his team played like that last night. I thought they went out and played with no belief. They took the manager's words on board. I don't think they believed that they should have been there.
Yeah.
They believed that they could get a result. And, you know, for 90 minutes, a Battle of Britain, Peter, and was there a tackle? Did any Rangers player go in and give one to the Liverpool player, bar Lundstrom, which was a little bit of a tug back, you know, in the middle of the park? There was no aggression for Rangers either. No aggression to go and get in and about somebody, you know, and lift the fans, lift the team. It was just insipid for me.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up perfectly, because I was looking for that in-your-face high press. At times I know that it's very difficult when you're coming up against the quality of Liverpool in comparison to Rangers or Celtic, as Rangers and Celtic are finding out time and time again, but I expected more from Rangers, and it just was so disappointing. And stray passes, the inability to come out of the back line and find a midfielder and then maybe put 3 or 4 passes together. And it was late on, and I think, you know, a number of people have mentioned the substitutes had a better contribution in maybe changing the game a little, because in the first half I don't think they got into that final third apart from one set piece, Tam. That was how poor it was.
No, there was nothing from Rangers. There really wasn't. It was just wave after wave of attack from Liverpool. But there was opportunities when Liverpool gave the ball away and Rangers had the ball. And you're right, just quality and possession. And that was a signature of Rangers last season, getting the Europa League final. They passed teams off the park at times. They were brilliant.
Yeah.
Away from home in Dortmund, Leipzig. You know, they played really well. And there was nothing of that last night. They didn't pass the ball properly. They didn't pass the ball with a purpose. It was just side passes, back passes that allowed Liverpool to go and press them. And as you said, 86 minutes, you know, all the Rangers fans behind the goal, you know, as I said, paid good money, and 86 minutes you get one shot on target and nearly score. But it just wasn't anywhere near good enough. And Rangers fans would have wanted them to go down having a go, you know, with all guns blazing, and there was nothing of that at all.
Jurgen Klopp after the match, I think, was very gracious about Rangers, just basically saying it's going to take a bit of time for them to get used to Champions League football again.
Rangers is a really good team, doing really well, and played an exceptional season in Europe last year. Unlucky that they lost the final. Qualified for the Champions League, that's all positive. You can't have all in one. You have a bit of time to adapt to Europe as well.
It's a fair point. I mean, the two clubs moving into the Champions League, obviously one of them winning it, Rangers battling away, so positive to actually get there to it. And you can see that disparity. I sometimes am loath to talk about the difference that not only Celtic and Rangers, but other clubs in that pot 4 and sometimes in pot 3 are faced with trying to get that sucker punch win against the big clubs. Is becoming more and more difficult, but I'm sometimes loath to mention it, Tam, because I can see Hearts, Hibs fans, Motherwell fans firing things at the telly and saying, shut up, that's what we have to put up with.
Yeah, you're totally correct there. I think when you step up, and that is elite level, Liverpool, Napoli could win Serie A this season, Ajax will probably win the Eredivisie, so you're up against top teams in there. But Rangers last night, I thought they were poor, and I just think that the recruitment, they don't look a shadow of the team that got to the final. They have missed. Listen, we've been pretty negative here. They're missing Bassi and they're missing Aribo, and they were two massive players for Rangers. Bassi's pace at the back, allowed them to keep a higher line, and Aribo's physical presence up there, got them up the pitch. He was a good runner as well. So I think they're missing those two badly, and they haven't replaced them with anywhere near the same quality.
Yeah, and by the way, let's be honest about it. Are Napoli going to win the Champions League? No. Bob White says, remember Napoli were in pot 3. Absolutely. I think Bob makes a good point on this. But the standards, the level, the money, the calibre of player that they've got and how they're performing in Serie A is an indication of how much improvement is going on there with Napoli. I mean, remember, they haven't won the league since Maradona was playing in the number 10 shirt. As far as the table is concerned, we've already alluded to the fact that it's the battle for third. I don't see it as a battle. I think Rangers are going to finish bottom. Whether they're going to get a point or not, that's open to debate. It depends on how they're going to perform at home against Ajax in the final group game. But as you look at it there, Tam, the worst thing here about this whole situation is, played 3, won 0, drawn 0, lost 3, 9 goals against. And no goals scored. And listen, they're not the worst ever. I mean, third place, Levski Sofia in 2006-07, no points, 1 goal scored, 17 conceded, and a goal difference of -16. In second place, Spartak Moscow from season 2002-2003, they had no points, 1 goal scored, 18 conceded. And then to top it all off, Dynamo Zagreb in 2011-2012, they scored 3 but they conceded 22, no points. So I think they're a way off from that, although I will counter that by saying Napoli is on the horizon and Liverpool.
Yeah, listen, I think they're banging up against it, Rangers. I think that if they can get any points at all, I think they'll take a bit of solace from that. I don't see them getting third place. Look at the league table, they're going to have to beat their goal difference in terms of Ajax and the head-to-head as well. So I don't think there's going to be European football for Rangers after Christmas, and they have landed in a tough group. Let's be honest, they've landed in a very tough group. I think if they'd landed in Celtic's group, they'd maybe be a bit more competitive, but they've landed in a very, very hard group. But I think the Rangers supporters, particularly at home, against Ajax and Liverpool next week, they want to see their team having a go and not sitting back and playing 4-5-1, 5-4-1, and just being lambs to the slaughter. They want to make out and have a go. If you lose the game, fine. Look at Napoli at home. Rangers were well in the game until the red card. Played well, played with passion, played with intent. Okay, they lost the game, but I think the Rangers supporters, took a bit of confidence from that performance last night. Miles off of that.
Yeah. Just a footnote to it, the wonderful thing about Liverpool, I love it as a city. I mean, I just absolutely love going down for weekends there. I love the people. I think they're absolutely top drawer. There is so much to see, and if you're a Beatles fan like I am, Tam, it's just...
The highlight was surely the Rangers fans we met.
That was fantastic. The wee boy.
Show like cost me a fiver, wee man, if you're watching.
Yeah, Callum Davison was his name. Yep. Callum was brilliant, and of course we spoke to a few Rangers fans who were more than confident of maybe taking something, and I think they'll be going home disappointed that it just didn't materialise, to be perfectly honest with you. And over and above that, a lot of them would have enjoyed the hospitality of Liverpool, because it's a wonderful city, and certainly great if you want to go and see the Beatles. It's musical heaven for me. But the hotels, everything, we had a great time, Tam. We had we had a few sherbets and you know, I'm talking sufficiently away from the actual game, but we certainly enjoyed ourselves. We got a few great selfies too, didn't we?
We did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the stadium was excellent. The famed Anfield atmosphere, I didn't really feel that last night. I don't know if that was because Liverpool just expected to beat Rangers, but we've both been to Champions League nights at Celtic and Rangers, and not a patch on that for me. Anfield last night, maybe it'll be different if they were playing a Chelsea in a semi-final or a Bayern Munich, but I was a wee bit disappointed. But the people in Liverpool were so nice and friendly, and
yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
I'm going to be honest with you, Tam. I think that the other thing, I mean, the Rangers fans at one point started singing "Where's your fabulous atmosphere?" You know, I think they were trying everything to noise them up. But I got the point, because I've been to many Liverpool games. There are some really special ones. You know, when Kenny was actually in his pomp in the number 7, which I thoroughly enjoyed, when it was a different style of atmosphere. This new stadium, the walk-on's not a patch on Celtic Park. That's a Stonewall certainty. I mean, they couldn't hold a candle to them. And then, of course, the only other thing that a couple of people mentioned to me, and I think it's very pertinent to this, is the Liverpool fans are used to relentless European football at the top level, and then they view the group stages as just a minor inconvenience till they eventually get to the really good games. So, but again, I was at Liverpool Villarreal last season, and
semi-final.
I wasn't that impressed by that either. You know?
No, totally agree. I think there's obviously a bigger fish to fry in terms of Rangers for Liverpool, but an English team via Scottish team, you know, you thought there was a wee bit of edge to it, you know, a wee bit of atmosphere, but there wasn't that. And the Rangers supporters, you know, I think, you know, sounded a lot noisier than the Liverpool supporters at times.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much to so many of you for giving us your thoughts on Rangers' performance last night, and the majority of people, I think, are fairly open and honest about it. Just not good enough, needs to improve, and the big battle for me is 1st of November, Rangers against Ajax in the battle for 3rd place. I think it's a forlorn hope. You might think different. Give us your view on it. You can engage with us. The programme is absolutely free to watch. Tell your friends, hit the subscribe button and join the football family here. I can tell you the Celtic team is out, Tam. It's Hart in goal, Juranovic, Welsh, Jens and Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate, Jota, Maeda and Kyogo. The subs are Bain, Siegrist, Giacomakis, Haksabanovic, McCarthy, Bernabe, Abelgard, Forrest, Ralston and Robertson. So no real surprises there.
No, I think that was a team that most Celtic supporters would have thought, would have lined up. The back four for me has got to play well tonight. I think that's a back four that a lot of Celtic supporters travelling will be a bit worried about, to be honest, but they might come in surprises. You know, Jens and Welsh, they're up against 2 top strikers, is the thing we alluded to there. So I think that if those two play well, you know, against Nkunku and Werner, then I think Celtic can get a result, but that's going to be crucial, that battle between the 4 of them. Yeah,
that back line, certainly the central area is where I've got the most worry for Celtic. Of course, Ange Postecoglou, echoing the sentiments of Jurgen Klopp when it comes to Celtic and Rangers. This is a gradual progression in Europe.
This is Champions League football. You don't just make progress overnight. It's stuff you build on, and like I said, we played well against Shakhtar. We had to, because they're a very good team, as they showed, particularly against Leipzig here. But we're under no illusions that tomorrow's going to be another massive challenge for us. So.
Yeah, it is a massive challenge, and of course this is the thing about it. We're looking at our 2 top clubs back in European football, and sometimes I think maybe our expectations can run away with us, Tam.
Yeah, I think you need to appreciate the quality that both teams are up against. Look at Celtic, Real Madrid, the holders from last season. Rangers up against Liverpool, got to the final, probably arguably unfortunate not to win it, not to beat Madrid in the final. So you're up against the absolute cream of European football, and we expect Celtic Rangers to do well because they dominate here. But they're going up another 3 or 4 levels when they go up against 8 teams. So I think if Celtic and Rangers can get into the knockout stage, I think it would be a huge achievement, particularly now in sense of Champions League football. The rich are getting richer. As you mentioned earlier, the pot 1, pot 2, it's very, very difficult to knock them out the first 2 pots, so out the first 2 places in the standings. So I think if Celtic can get European football after Christmas, I think a lot of Celtic supporters would we'd be over the moon.
Yeah, Steve McNamara says Celtic played Shakhtar Donetsk off the pitch, but I'd take a point now. That's the interesting part of this. A point still keeps them in the mix for that third place, Tam, to be perfectly
Yeah, I
honest
think
with
a point would be a great result for Celtic. I think that we'd fancy them. You know, you beat Leipzig at home. You've still got Shakhtar to play at home, so this game's going to be crucial. If Leipzig win this, they're back in it. They're back in the group. You know, they're sitting at the bottom there now. But if they win tonight, they'll think, like, we can go to Celtic and get a result and we're back in the race for second place. So it really is a crucial game for both those clubs, and if Celtic can get something, I think they'd be favourites for second.
Well, it's funny, 4 years have passed since the last time Celtic played against Leipzig in Germany. Only one player has survived in the team.
McGregor?
Yeah, McGregor. He's the only guy in there. They lost 2-0 to Leipzig, and Callum McGregor is the captain now. The face, as Adam mentioned there, a very different Leipzig side. 11th in the Bundesliga, not on great form, 4 wins in 12 games. They won 4-0 against Bochum at the weekend with Werner and Nkunku scoring a brace each. So, you know, that's the worst thing you want, is suddenly a couple of strikers slowly but surely getting a little bit of form. Although, if you want a real insight into it, well, Adam has been working very hard. He was out there and he caught up with German journalist Tom Bachmann to survey Leipzig.
Tom, thanks for joining me. Tom Bachmann from the Deutsche Press Agency. Tom, can you just give me a little bit of a history around RB Leipzig and why there's so much controversy surrounding the club in Germany?
Okay, it's basically it's about participation of the fans. So in Germany, it has always been a big topic that the fans they can decide what happens in the clubs. It's quite a very different model to what happens in the UK, in England and Scotland. We call it the 50+1 rule. That means that every club has to be in the hands of its members, and an investor could only buy 49.9% of the club. So, but basically, RB Leipzig is kind of like a marketing project of Red Bull, hence the name RB. And they, like, fans sort of feel, they kind of moved around the rules or made their own rules, and that's roughly the thing in Germany here about RB Leipzig. Yeah.
Some big players in that RB Leipzig team. Can you tell us who to look out for? Who's caught your eye this season?
It's of course Christopher Nkunku. He's the German footballer of the year, and he's starting to connect really well with Timo Werner, who's starting to become the old Timo, like different compared to his time at Chelsea, where he was not very lucky. And they connect really well. And you should also look out for Dominik Szoboszlai, a Hungarian international, who played really, really well in recent weeks. And he's also profiting from the new coach. He already knows him from Salzburg, and he had a good time in Salzburg, and now he's having a good time again. So don't let him shoot like from 30 yards out, because he can score from there.
Well, that's not good news for Joe Hart. Interestingly enough,
People rushing to bet him for the first goal there.
Yeah, I was just about to say thanks to Tom Bachmann, well done to Adam for chatting to him. It gave us a great insight into Leipzig, not too far away from kick-off on this one. If you're listening to the programme or watching it later on, you'll probably already know the score, because it is a 4:45 kick-off British time, but in Germany 5:45. But as far as Celtic are concerned, I just wonder about some of the players. In the last couple of weeks, I was talking to a few people within Celtic, just gone slightly off the boil since that St Mirren result. Joe Hart, questions about him, maybe a wee bit slack. Maeda, always busy, but there needs to be maybe a wee bit more from him in that final third.
Yeah, I would accept that. I think that Maeda, his work rate's second to none. He's got great energy, but it's his quality, his finishing. He missed a great chance over in Poland against Shakhtar to win the game late on. His goal scoring return's not great. Abada, unfortunately, is missing. I think you're getting more quality, more end product out of him, and I think Maeda's in there for that high press. I think he's perfect for that, but on top of that, you've got to be good on the ball. You can't just be running about and closing people down when you get the ball. You've not got any quality. So I think the Celtic supporters are looking at him. Joe Hart as well. A little bit sloppy this season, a little bit slack at times, and it all kind of comes from that St Mirren game where Ange Postecoglou, and we mentioned it yesterday, he's took a lot of praise this season, rightly so. The way the team plays, but resting those players against St Mirren before an international break, I think was madness. you know, and they paid the price. And since that, you know, there's obviously the one at the weekend against Motherwell, but it took Callum McGregor to pull, you know, the striker down in the last minute to preserve that 2-1 lead. So
yeah,
I don't think they're in the same form, and that would be a concern for Celtic fans going into the game.
Absolutely. The most ardent of Celtic fans will be looking for all 3 points. Some going there with a tremendous positivity. What do you think? Give us your view on that match, and obviously we will look at it in greater detail tomorrow on the programme and see exactly how it all panned out. But you would think over there, all the Germans heading to the game will be supporting Leipzig. That's not exactly the case, because our reporter Adam Binney has caught up with 2 German boys with a strong Scottish background who are 100% Celtic fans. He caught up with Malcolm and Angus Neiman.
Well, we are outside the Red Bull Arena ahead of Celtic versus Leipzig, and I'm joined by 2 very special Celtic fans. We have 2 German Celtic fans, but boys, can you let a lovely audience know what your names are?
Angus. And Malcolm.
The 2 most Scottish names ever for our 2 German Celtic fans. Tell us your story. How did you come to support Celtic?
Well, I started football when I was 8 years old, so that's how I came in contact with football. And then through my Scottish family, some of my family members support Celtic, so that's how I got into it.
You're a Celtic fan, of course. Do you ever have a chat about Scottish football with any of your German classmates? Do they understand the Scottish game?
Yeah, I go to a sports school, so all my classmates play football as well. So they're interested in Scottish football. They basically know as much as I do. So we talk about football every time. So yeah, they know a lot about Scottish football as well.
How is Scottish football perceived in Germany? What do your German classmates think of it?
Well, some follow Champions League, for example, so they know how Celtic or Rangers are playing, or the Europa League and stuff like that. So yeah, we have a chat now and again about Celtic and Rangers as well.
Can I ask you both for your favourite Celtic player?
Mine is McGregor. Yeah, mine as well, McGregor.
Yeah, it's a very popular choice. He's a great player, is Callum McGregor. Of course, the opponents tonight, RB Leipzig. You will both know a lot about Leipzig, being Germans yourself. What are you expecting from the opposition tonight?
I don't think that they're going to be too good, because they didn't have a great start in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League. They're last in the Champions League and 11th in the Bundesliga. It's not been like a good start as well with a new trainer. They've not proven themselves. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a hard game. Definitely it's going to be a hard game, but I think Celtic is going to take it home today.
Any players to look out for in the RB Leipzig team that we should know about?
I think Timo Werner, because he just came back from Chelsea and is a great player in my opinion, so I think that's the player we have to look out for tonight.
Finally, can I just ask a score prediction for you both?
I think it's going to be a 3-2 for Celtic, 2 goals from Jota and a goal from Jens. 2-1 for Celtic, Abada and Jota as well.
Malcolm, Angus, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the match.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you are. Not every German is a Celtic fan.
Oh, it spoke really well there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just weird when they were speaking there. The Celtic stuff. They spoke great English. Have they 2 boys been over there all their life, or they just move over there?
I think they've been there all their life.
Right.
So it's a great little
English
chat. Angus and Malcolm there talking about it, looking forward to the game, whether it pans out the way both of them think, only time will tell. But great to get Adam out there scurrying about, making sure he's getting as many interviews as possible. And of course, we're bringing you as many interviews and the updates right across all our social media channels with regards to Celtic and Rangers in the Champions League, covering Hearts obviously in the Europa Conference League, as well as domestic football. It's 24/7 PLZ Soccer. It's absolutely free to watch. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. So anyway, and lots of people saying loving the German Scottish accent. Absolutely, that's what happens. I mean, listen, if Jota's got his Portuguese Scottish accent, that's what happens. They'll be in the Celtic end, cheering on Celtic tonight, and we will discuss it all tomorrow. Listen, just one little footnote before we move on to last night's Scottish Premiership game between Ross County and Motherwell. Kilmarnock St Johnstone tonight, as well as Hearts Fiorentina. I want to get Tam's thoughts on, but just quickly, 100 years ago this very day, It was, of course, Jock Stein, born in Scotland as one of the greatest Celtic managers, the greatest Celtic manager ever, I beg your pardon, but one of the greatest Scottish managers, up there with Sir Alex Ferguson, Matt Busby, Bill Shankly. Just when you think of Celtic, you automatically think of Jock Stein, Tam.
Yeah, I think that's the greatest achievement ever, in my opinion, from a Scottish manager, to win that European Cup with that Celtic team, with all those boys from within, what was it, 15 miles, 30 miles of Parkhead. That will never ever be repeated, you know. And you know, a top manager. And it's weird because you look at all the top managers back then, it was all Scottish, you know, and Busby, Ferguson, Stein, Shankly, you know, amazing. They all come through, you know, around about the same time. So an absolute legend amongst the Celtic supporters, and somebody that'll never be forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely. And our reporter Kerry Pollock has been looking back at the magnificent career of the late great Jock Stein.
Today marks the 100th anniversary of the birth of Celtic's iconic manager Jock Stein. Stein's playing career spanned 14 years, including 9 at Celtic. As captain, he won a league and cup double before taking over the reins as manager of the club's reserve team in 1957. Despite impressing at this level, Stein was told by the club he wouldn't be able to progress any further due to his Protestant faith. However, he did eventually become first-team boss in 1965, after leaving Hibernian to take on the role. Fast forward to 1967 and Stein was on the cusp of European Cup glory. After a 3-1 win over Dukla Prague, Celtic faced Italian giants Inter Milan in the final in Lisbon. Despite falling behind to a penalty, the Scottish side triumphed in a 2-1 win with a team all born within a 30-mile radius of Glasgow. The 1970s brought continued success on the domestic front. During this time, Stein and Celtic won a record 9 league titles in a row. Stein was appointed Scotland manager on a full-time basis on the 5th of October 1978. Performances and results were mixed, but going into their last qualification match for a playoff spot in the 1986 World Cup against Wales, Scotland only needed a draw. Davy Cooper scored to level the game at 1-1 with just 9 minutes left to play, securing a playoff against Australia. Tragically, Jock Stein suffered a heart attack at the end of this match and passed away at just 62 years old. Jock Stein is widely acknowledged as one of the most influential managers in the history of British football. Since his death, Stein has been inducted into the Scottish Sports Hall of Fame and the Scottish Football Hall of Fame. When Celtic Park was rebuilt in the 1990s, the traditional home end of the stadium was named the Jock Stein Stand in the great man's honour. On 5th of March 2011, a greater than life-size bronze statue of Stein by the sculptor John McCann was unveiled outside Celtic Park. The statue depicts Stein holding the European Cup.
Yeah, 100 years ago, Jock Stein was born, and there's a tribute programme out that I think many a Celtic fan will want to get a hold of, and we'll be giving you the chance to win this week. We'll come up with a question and fire that out to you as well. So there's been lots of competitions, Ruffy's gloves, Rangers strip, Eintracht Frankfurt Rangers, we're going to give that away, the programme. We've got some really special things coming up, and a brilliant painting next week that I think you're going to want to get your hands on. So thank you to so many people paying tribute to the late great Jock Stein. It was 100 years ago today he would have been born, and over and above that, certainly his achievements for Celtic I don't think will ever be matched. Absolutely incredible European Cup in 1967 with a team all within 30 miles of Celtic Park, all Scots. Brilliant.
That's absolutely incredible. Never ever be repeated that. Never mind 30 miles, but all Scottish. You know, you look at the nationalities now, all over the place, playing different teams. So, what an incredible achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, the greatest ever manager, I think, in Scottish football history, Sir Alex Ferguson. You get a great
picture there. No wonder Scotland were good back then.
Well, I was going to say to you, because
manager and Fergie assistant.
Yeah, and Fergie actually, and Jim McCann actually speaks so highly of Stein because they sucked up all that great knowledge that he had, experience. And if you get Sir Alex Ferguson, and I can tell you, talking about Jock Stein, he is glowing in his tributes of him and just loved being in his company. So there you have it. We like to cover all that football. What about last night? Ross County 0, Motherwell 5. Didn't see that coming, Tam.
No, we didn't. A shocker for Malky Mackay and Ross County. They've got off to a terrible start this season. I think the expectation from their supporters and maybe a lot of people in the media was they would push on and perhaps creep into that top 6 this season, but they look miles off that now. Don't think they've replaced Regan Cook and Hungbo. The guys have brought in are no hitting the ground running, and a fantastic result for Motherwell. I think they were listen, they'll arguably feel that they got something at the weekend. I think it's a great foul from Callum McGregor, or else a lad tearing his clean through. But to go up there and win 5-0, Kevin Van Veen, hat-trick, good player for them. They've got a good squad there, Motherwell.
Yeah, he's come good actually. I was wondering whether he looked a bit stiff to start with.
He's a streaky. I think he's a streaky striker. I think he'll score goals in bunches.
Is that what a streaky striker is, Tam?
That is it. Unfortunately, I was neither. Streaky or not, but I think I'm delighted for Stevie Hamill and Brian Kerr. Know both of them very well. Known both of them for 20 years. Played with them at Scotland under 16s all the way through, and delighted for them at Motherwell. And they're two good guys, and I think they're building something special, I think, at Motherwell.
Yeah, well, good luck to Hammy, because that's Motherwell up to 6th in the table. I think reading out so many of the tributes to Jock Stein as well, and thank you very much to so many of you for highlighting it. And by the way, Michael Crooks makes a very good point, not that you need to make it to us because he was such a good man to PLZ soccer. Walter Smith, a generation again, you know, where he created something at Rangers. With
Jim McCann, who you'd mentioned.
Yeah, soon as started it off.
Managers.
Walter Smith absolutely deserves to be talked about in that company as well. I mean, he was fantastic for us here at PLZ Soccer, offering all sorts of help and advice as well. But just to look back and see Walter Smith, Jim McCann, Sir Alex Ferguson, Jock Stein, great managers down through the years, and not just domestically as well. So yeah, great. Listen, we should be proud of all these men that we've just mentioned there. From Ross County 0, Motherwell 5 to Kilmarnock against St Johnstone now. Derek McInnes has said that he's going to play Lafferty tonight because, quite simply, he can't afford to leave him out, and I think he's just a little bit miffed at the time it's been taken for any action to be handed down to Lafferty.
Yeah, I think the SFA, I think the meeting's coming up shortly, maybe next week or two, and I think that uncertainty doesn't help Kilmarnock, doesn't help Derek McInnes. I think Kyle will be desperate tonight to play well and score a few goals, because it might be his last game for a while, to be honest. So I think that he'll be desperate to try and make it up to the manager. He's let him down hugely, you know, with that comment, and he's going to get banned for 8, 10, maybe more games. So I think.
Well, we don't know that. It's speculation, maybe. I think once the allegation, if indeed he is charged with it, I think it's only right and proper, as Kilmarnock mentioned, that he goes on some kind of programme.
Who was the one down? Was it Broadfoot? Was it Broadfoot with James McLean? But did he get 10 games, 15 games? I know it's a different FA, but
yeah,
I think it'll be something similar.
Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen, we've got, it plays no part in modern society, but unfortunately, when it happens, you don't want to see a footballer involved in it, Tam.
No, you don't. And listen, I'm not condoning it. I just don't like seeing people, winding players up when they're out. We've seen it with Scott Brown. You know, people putting cameras, recording things, trying to catch people out. You've got to box clever with things like that, and you can't let yourself down. And Kyle Dunn, he's let himself down, and he's going to pay the price for that. But there's no place for it, and I think that I genuinely think the SFA are going to hammer him. Yeah, 20th of October is the hearing, so we'll wait to find out on that one. Listen, Kelly could move up to 10th if they can get a win. I'm not so sure. St Johnstone can move up to 7th, and St Johnstone look good against Dundee United. Like, look at St Johnstone. I think they've got players in that they need. They've got Jamie Murphy in, who, I rave about. He's just been very unlucky with injury. I loved watching him at Hibs when he was fit. He glides by players. He's a good player. Yeah. And Nicky Clark, big Ryan McGowan, who I played with United many years ago, good signing for them. So I think they're improving St Johnstone. I think Callum Davison had to strengthen. I think they were the team that I tipped to finish bottom this season because of the way that they played last year. But I think they've strengthened that squad. Halberg's come in and doing well, scored a great goal, great finish at the weekend. So I think they've got more goals in them than Kilmarnock, and I just fear it's going to be a long season for Killie. Yeah, I think Killie will be really up against it tonight. I think even by the solitary goal, I'm tipping St Johnstone. Of course, I'm like you, Tam. I tip St Johnstone to get relegated. I don't think
they'll probably, the way the other three teams that I'm thinking about, will probably go on to qualify for Europe in the second half of a strong season. Only time will tell. So that's how we view the SPFL. Let's not forget that Hearts are involved in European football Liverpool on Thursday night against Fiorentina. Tam, I mentioned to you just in the preview of the programme that I think it'll be one of those nights where I think a lot of Hearts fans might want to pay tribute to Stefano Salvatore. He was part of that great 1998 Scottish Cup winning squad. He's certainly one of those players over a period of time at Hearts who, you know, was a tough, uncompromising player. Sadly passed away at the age of 49. He had 83 appearances for Jim Jeffries' side, and a lot of the Hearts fans remember him with great fondness. And he also played for Fiorentina, and he won a European Cup with AC Milan.
Yeah, he's a terrific player. I think that the Hearts supporters, that 1998 team will never be forgotten. He won the Scottish Cup there, beating Rangers in the final. Jim Jeffries, we can't, forget the scenes after the game, the open top bus with Jim and Billy Brown and Gary Locke. So that team will never be forgotten. Salvatore was a combative midfield player. He took to the Scottish game, like duck to water. I think he picked up a lot of yellow cards. He showed a bit of grit and a bit of heart, and that's what Scottish supporters love. And he'll not be forgotten by the Hearts supporters, and I think they'll pay tribute to him tomorrow night. He died very young, 49, no age.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hearts against Fiorentina, I mean, the one saving grace after looking at, Halkett not being there, I think, is still a huge blow to Hearts in this campaign. But they're in it now because they've got a chance in this group with the win over Riga. If they get a win over Fiorentina, and let's not forget, they lost to Atalanta at the weekend. They've got 2 wins in the last 10 games. They're not in great form. And the one thing about Robbie Nielsen is he's mentioned that he reckons that they can be exploited because the coach of Fiorentina likes to play that kind of a 4-3-3 formation but push up, and Robbie reckons there's gaps in behind. Let's hope so.
Yeah, listen, this is a huge game for Hearts. I think Istanbul, they looked a right good side. They went to Tynecastle, was it 4-0? I think they could possibly win every game. I think they could be miles ahead of everybody else, and that leaves it a battle for second place. I would fancy Hearts strongly at home to Riga. So there's 6 points. So they only need to get maybe a draw or a win against Fiorentina to put them in the driving seat for second place. But I think if they're going to get it, it's going to be at Tynecastle. So you're hoping that they can go and get a result.
Yeah, absolutely. If they get a result and suddenly get to second in that group, that would be a fantastic achievement, especially when I watched them against Istanbul. My God, the fear of God was going into me because they were dismantled. But Istanbul have been doing that to everyone.
They battered Fiorentina as well.
Yeah.
So, and they've got Riga to play twice, I think. So I think they could possibly run away with the group, and it leaves it wide open, but Hearts have got to get something from the game tomorrow night at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it was a tough one for Rangers in European football, so they just have to lick their wounds and get on with it. As far as this programme is concerned, tomorrow on the programme we'll look back over what Celtic have produced tonight against RB Leipzig. Can they get a positive result, or is it going to be more misery at this level? Only time will tell. We'll look back on that game and then look at Hearts in greater detail against Fiorentina, and then of course we will spread our wings further afield and look to the weekend's Scottish Premiership as well. And it looks as if it's going to be a fantastic weekend for us, Tam. Not only have we been down in Liverpool enjoying ourselves, watching the football, and obviously going into the museum. You managed to flannel your way into the museum without paying, and of course you're the only guy I know that went into a Liverpool shop. How can you get into the club shop and only buy a couple of pint glasses? You're so tight.
I'm just not a big Liverpool fan.
No.
I'm not a Liverpool supporter, but I love pint glasses, different pint glasses, different glasses. Yeah, my wife's into that with the Prosecco glasses and all that.
Right.
So we've got so many glasses in the house, it's incredible. But I just like buying different pint glasses. I've got all the Hard Rock cafes, Toronto or Tampa. I like to go to, whenever I'm away on holiday, I like to go buy a glass. So I'm big into the old pint glasses.
Yeah, well, as you know, I'm a Liverpool fan from a boy with Dalglish and Keegan.
You bought the training top, didn't you?
Oh, I just go mad. Every time I get down there, I just go in and my wife just shakes her head, and you've got to get all the kit, and they've got a great retro part upstairs.
Some of the sorts were nice.
They were good.
Crown Paints ones back in the day. They caught my eye, but in my price range.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was when Kenny was absolutely sensational. But it's a fantastic city. I hate to be the PR guy for Liverpool on a weekend away, but if you want to go for a weekend away, Liverpool is absolutely sensational. Great nightlife, some brilliant restaurants down by the docks. It's fantastic.
I got to say who we bumped into last night at the game. My old teammate.
Oh yeah, by the way, how outrageous was that?
Derek Riordan.
Yeah.
Aye, Derek was down at the game with his pal, and I couldn't believe it. We bumped into him at the hospitality. I did not know all this time that he was a huge Liverpool fan. Deeks as well has been a huge Hibs fan.
Yeah.
So it was great to see Derek, and thankfully we never went out for a night out after it, because the last one we ended up on the front page of the Sunday Mail.
Well, I was going to say it was one of those situations. Had he suggested it, I'd done have a quick, sharp exit on it. But and of course, one last little point before we go, Tam. We're looking forward to the weekend because finally Cowan is paying up. We are off out the whole entire PLZ soccer team because Tam lost the predictor competition last year, and now Sunday finally he pays up, taking us all out for a meal.
I'm going to a nice Italian restaurant. Hopefully, I think Tam knows the owner, so I'm sure he'll be getting a huge discount. But we're not bothered about that. We'll go and get a free meal and maybe a couple of beers.
Yeah, I knew he was going to pull strings with somebody that he knew.
And there'll be 1,000 Instagram posts after it with that.
By the way, see if I walk in there and it's a buffet, I'm going to be raging. He's done a deal. Anyway, brilliant. Looking forward to it. Fingers crossed we can talk more about Scottish clubs in European football. Whether it's going to be the same outcome as Rangers against Liverpool last night, only time will tell. Thank you to so many of you for your comments. Funny ones, some people not so funny, but as you know, that's the nature of football. Lots of people have their comments for us and, of course, engage with you as well. You can do that on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. It's absolutely free to watch. It's 24/7. We've got breaking stories on the app non-stop from the UK, European football and world football. And you can actually watch the programme at your leisure. We've got all the archive material there. There's one-to-ones, there's Dream Team, there's obviously that was the game that was, some fantastic games from yesteryear from the key players who played in them. Lots of things to watch. Hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and come and join the thousands and thousands of people discovering the channel with all our special guests as well. Hope you enjoyed it today. We certainly are absolutely delighted that we managed to make it back up from Liverpool, but the travels continue on social media tonight. Adam is out there in Leipzig. He'll keep us up to date with all things Celtic. But tonight, thank you for watching.